Have you ever had a moment when your entire perspective shifted in an instant? When the universe seemed to orchestrate the perfect collision of souls at precisely the right moment? That's what happened to Emma Collins on an ordinary Tuesday at Riverside Café. If you're enjoying this story so far, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more heartfelt stories that remind us how life's most beautiful chapters often begin when we least expect them. Emma had always been the funny one in her group of friends, known for her quick wit and sarcastic takes on life, love, and especially marriage. At 28, she had built her entire personality around being fiercely independent and skeptical of commitment. Her dating app profile even stated, "allergic to wedding rings," in bold letters. Her friends found it hilarious, but her family worried she was using humor to mask deeper wounds from her parents' bitter divorce when she was 12. That Tuesday morning started like any other. Emma sat at her usual corner table at Riverside Café, her laptop open as she worked on her marketing proposals. Her best friend Sophia was running late for their weekly breakfast meetup, which gave Emma plenty of time to people-watch and craft new jokes about the couples she observed. An elderly pair holding hands across their table became 50 years of compromising on restaurant choices. A young couple taking selfies were documenting happiness before the mortgage payments begin. When Sophia finally arrived, breathless and apologetic, Emma was ready with her latest observations. "Marriage is just betting someone half your stuff that you'll love them forever," she announced loudly as Sophia slid into the seat across from her. "And statistically speaking, that's a terrible bet." Sophia rolled her eyes, used to Emma's commentary. "You know, one day someone's going to walk into your life and completely change your mind about all this." "Not possible," Emma declared, taking a dramatic sip of her coffee. "I've seen the institution of marriage up close. It's like watching a beautiful car slowly rust from the inside out." "No thanks." What Emma didn't notice was the man who had just walked in, a little girl's hand held firmly in his. He had paused near their table, clearly having overheard Emma's proclamation. The cafe had suddenly gone quieter than usual, or perhaps it just seemed that way to Emma when she finally looked up and locked eyes with him. He wasn't what you'd call conventionally handsome, but there was something compelling about his face, kind eyes that carried a shadow of exhaustion, laugh lines that suggested he found joy despite whatever burdens he carried. The little girl beside him, about 6 years old with curly hair pulled into uneven pigtails, looked up at Emma with curious eyes. "Sorry," the man said with a small, tired smile. "We didn't mean to eavesdrop. Lily, let's find a table, okay?" Emma felt her cheeks flush with embarrassment as they moved away. For the first time in years, her quick wit failed her. She had no comeback, no sarcastic remark. Instead, she felt an unfamiliar twist of shame in her stomach. "That was awkward," Sophia whispered, leaning forward. "He's cute though. Single dad, I'm guessing." Emma tried to shrug it off, but throughout their breakfast, she found her eyes drifting to the man and his daughter. The way he carefully cut the little girl's pancakes, the patient manner in which he listened to her animated story, the gentle way he wiped syrup from her chin, it all seemed to contradict Emma's cynical view of relationships and commitment. When Sophia left for work, Emma lingered, pretending to focus on her laptop while secretly observing them. The little girl was now coloring on a paper placemat while her father made a phone call, his expression growing increasingly stressed. When he hung up, he ran a hand through his hair in a gesture of defeat that Emma recognized all too well. Something compelled her to approach their table. Later, she would blame it on guilt or simple curiosity, but deep down, she knew it was something more, a pull she couldn't explain. "Hi," she said awkwardly, standing beside their table. "I'm Emma. I just wanted to apologize for my loud marriage jokes earlier." Not exactly appropriate breakfast conversation. The man looked up, surprise evident in his eyes before he offered a genuine smile. "I'm Nathan. And this is Lily. No apology necessary. We all have our opinions." "Daddy doesn't like marriage either," Lily announced matter-of-factly, not looking up from her coloring. He says it's complicated. Nathan's face reddened slightly. Kids and their selective hearing, he said with an embarrassed laugh. What I actually said was that relationships are complicated, but worth it when they're right. Emma found herself smiling, a real smile, not the sarcastic one she usually wore. Sounds like a balanced view. More mature than mine, anyway. Daddy, can Emma sit with us? Lily asked suddenly, looking up with hopeful eyes. She can help me color the unicorn. I can't get the rainbow right. Before Nathan could respond, Emma found herself pulling out a chair. I'd be honored to help with unicorn art, if that's okay with your dad. Nathan nodded, and something shifted in that moment, something neither of them could have predicted. What started as an awkward apology turned into a conversation that flowed effortlessly. Nathan was a graphic designer working from home to care for Lily after his wife had left them 3 years ago. Emma shared about her marketing career and her parents' divorce that had colored her view of relationships. So that's why you're allergic to wedding rings? Nathan asked with a gentle teasing tone. Emma's eyes widened. How did you? Your dating profile, he admitted sheepishly. My sister made me get on that app last month. I recognized you when we walked in. Great, so you already knew I was the cynical marriage hater before my loud café announcement, Emma groaned. Actually, I thought your profile was refreshingly honest, Nathan replied. Most people pretend to want what they think others want them to want. That first conversation lasted nearly 2 hours, until Lily began to grow restless. When they exchanged numbers, it felt like the most natural thing in the world. What wasn't natural was the way Emma's heart seemed to skip when her phone dinged with a text from Nathan later that day, asking if she'd like to join them at the park that weekend. Their first official date involved pushing Lily on the swings and eating ice cream that melted too quickly in the autumn sun. It wasn't romantic in any conventional sense, yet Emma found herself more present, more engaged than she had been on any carefully orchestrated dinner date with previous men. As weeks turned into months, Emma found herself becoming a regular part of Nathan and Lily's life. Movie nights with dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets. Sunday morning pancakes where Lily insisted on adding food coloring to create unicorn breakfast. Helping with homework and learning to braid hair through YouTube tutorials. These simple moments began to reshape Emma's understanding of what commitment could look like. It wasn't always easy. Nathan carried his own scars from his failed marriage, and there were nights when doubts crept in for both of them. Emma's friends were shocked by her transformation, some even suggesting she had abandoned her principles. Her mother worried she was setting herself up for heartbreak by getting attached to a child who wasn't hers. 6 months into their relationship, they faced their first major challenge when Nathan's ex-wife suddenly reappeared, wanting to be part of Lily's life again. The weeks that followed were filled with tense conversations, tears, and legal consultations. Emma found herself standing at a crossroads, questioning whether she was ready for this level of complexity. One evening, after a particularly difficult day of discussions with lawyers, Emma sat alone on Nathan's porch swing, contemplating walking away. Relationships weren't supposed to be this hard this soon, were they? Maybe her cynicism had been justified all along. The screen door creaked, and Emma expected to see Nathan. Instead, Lily stepped out in her pajamas, clutching her favorite stuffed unicorn. Are you leaving us? Lily asked directly, her small voice steady but her eyes betraying her fear. Emma's heart constricted. Why would you think that, sweetie? Because when things get hard, people leave, Lily said with the devastating wisdom of a child who had already experienced abandonment. That's what my mom did. In that moment, Emma realized that her fear of commitment wasn't about protecting herself from pain, it was about avoiding the responsibility of loving someone even when it was difficult. The very thing she had mocked in her marriage jokes was the thing she now understood most clearly. Love wasn't a feeling to chase, it was a choice to make every day. I'm not leaving, Emma said firmly, pulling Lily into her arms. Things might get complicated sometimes, but that doesn't mean we walk away. That's not what family does. The word family surprised even Emma as it left her lips, but she knew immediately it was true. Somewhere between unicorn pancakes and playground visits, these two people had become her family, not by law or ceremony, but by choice and love. When Nathan joined them on the porch, finding them huddled together under the stars, something settled between them, an unspoken understanding that they were in this together, whatever came next. The journey wasn't without its challenges. Navigating co-parenting with Nathan's ex-wife required patience and boundaries. Emma's career advancement offered an opportunity in another city that demanded difficult conversations about their future. Nathan's occasional retreats into self-protective silence when stress mounted tested Emma's commitment to communication. But through it all, they chose each other, day after day. They built traditions and inside jokes. They learned each other's triggers and comforts. They created a home that had nothing to do with the physical space they occupied and everything to do with the safety they felt in each other's presence. On their one-year anniversary, Nathan took Emma back to Riverside Café, requesting the same corner table where they had first truly met. Lily was spending the weekend with her grandparents, giving them rare time alone. "Remember your joke about marriage that day?" Nathan asked as they settled into their seats. Emma groaned. "Please don't remind me. I was so obnoxious." "You were protecting yourself," Nathan corrected gently. "We all do that in different ways. I was doing it too, just more quietly." He reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "That day changed everything for me. For us. And while I know how you feel about marriage." "Actually," Emma interrupted, surprising herself with the words that followed, "I think my feelings have evolved on that particular topic." Nathan's eyes widened slightly. "Is that so?" "Turns out, I was criticizing something I didn't understand," Emma admitted. "I saw marriage as this cage people willingly walked into, this bet they were statistically likely to lose. But now I see it differently." "And how do you see it now?" Nathan asked, his voice soft. "As a choice," Emma said simply. "A choice to build something together, knowing it will be imperfect and difficult sometimes, but choosing it anyway. Choosing each other anyway." Nathan's smile grew as he reached into his pocket. "I was prepared to say I don't need marriage to know what we have is real. But since you brought it up." The small velvet box he placed on the table wasn't a surprise, not really. In some ways, Emma had been walking toward this moment since that first day at the café. What surprised her was the complete absence of fear as she looked at it. "I'm not proposing yet," Nathan clarified quickly. "That would be presumptuous. This is a promise ring, old-fashioned, I know. But I wanted you to have something that symbolizes what you've given Lily and me, the promise that love can be trusted again." Emma opened the box to find a simple silver band with 3 small stones, one for each of them. It wasn't a traditional engagement ring, but it was perfect in its representation of their unconventional journey. "I love it," she whispered, slipping it onto her right hand. "And I love our story, how it started with a cynical joke and led to this moment." 2 years later, Emma found herself back at Riverside Café, this time with a small group of their closest friends and family. The café had closed for the evening, but the owner, who had witnessed their story from that first day, had offered the space for this special occasion. There was no white dress or elaborate decorations, just fairy lights strung across the ceiling and wildflowers on the tables. Lily, now 9, stood proudly beside them in a dress she had helped design, holding a small basket of flower petals she had insisted on despite the unconventional setting. When Emma and Nathan exchanged vows, they weren't promises of perfection or fairy tale endings. They were acknowledgments of the reality they had already lived together, the challenges they had faced and the ones still to come. They were promises to choose each other, again and again, through whatever life brought their way. "I used to think marriage was betting someone half your stuff that you'll love them forever," Emma said in her vows, earning laughter from those who knew her history of marriage jokes. "Now I know it's not a bet at all. It's a declaration that some things are worth committing to, even without guarantees." You and Lily taught me that love isn't about statistical probabilities, it's about showing up every day and choosing to build something meaningful together. As they shared their first dance in the same café where their story began, Emma caught sight of the corner table where she had once loudly proclaimed her cynicism about love and commitment. Life had a funny way of challenging our most firmly held beliefs, of sending people into our path at exactly the right moment to show us different possibilities. The journey from that table to this dance had been filled with growth, challenges, and countless moments of choosing love over fear. It wasn't the path Emma had imagined for herself, but standing in Nathan's arms, with Lily beaming at them from the sidelines, she knew it was exactly where she was meant to be. Sometimes the most beautiful stories begin with a joke that takes an unexpected turn when the right person walks in. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Life has a way of surprising us with love in the most unexpected places, and we'd love to share more stories that remind us all of the power of opening our hearts to new possibilities, even when, especially when, they challenge everything we thought we knew about ourselves.